Ever heard of something so mind-blowing it flips everything you thought you knew about the universe upside down? The Thiaoouba Prophecy. It not only shook up how some scientists see things, but it also opened a whole new can of worms for us. In the world we live in right now, there are still tons of unanswered questions science can't quite nail down. Like, where did the universe even come from? How did humans pop into existence? How were those ancient megastructures built? And are there aliens out there? We just don't know for sure. We're all trying to figure it out, right? Unless we invent a time machine, going back to see the real deal is impossible. But get this. Back in history, there's this one dude. After what he claimed was a bizarre 10-day trip with aliens, people wondered, was he really on another planet? What did he see? In 1987, a guy named Michel Desmarquet, who'd never written anything before, penned a book. It's called the Thiaoouba Prophecy. In this book, he wrote down a super detailed and totally weird story. He claimed aliens zapped him to a place called Thiaouba. That's the 9th level planet in their system. And these aliens supposedly spilled the beans about Earth's ancient history, karma, life cycles, space travel, the whole shebang. The scope of this stuff is huge, even beyond what most sci-fi writers come up with. So what's the story? Let's dive in. Picture this. One night in 1987, Michel suddenly wakes up in the Aussie heat. He notices it's crazy bright outside his window. When he steps outside to see what's up, bam, he's bathed in this blue light. Then, whoosh, he's pulled up by some mysterious force. He figures he must be dreaming. Nope, not dreaming, a voice suddenly says, tells him it's all real. Then Michel sees this tall dude, like over 2 meters. He calls himself Thao, and he's from this far-off planet, Thiaouba. Apparently this time, Thao was going to take Michel on a 40-year journey. Now, to keep Michel from aging like crazy when he got back, Thao used a time lock. This thing froze his current space-time. So, no matter how long the trip felt, Michel's age and life back home would be exactly as he left it. Then, Michel was whisked away onto a ship, a giant spherical spacecraft. They zipped through the universe faster than light. First stop, a place called Alum X3, level 3 planets price. It's supposed to be a lot like Earth, only twice as big. Thao then dropped these 3 little ball-like detectors. Following the images from Alum X3, they beamed them back to the spacecraft. Through the screen, Michel saw this planet was way different from Earth. First off, it was covered in ruins. And get this, there were also aliens who looked a lot like humans. Just way taller, and they all seemed to have disabilities, like they were sick. Thao told Michel that this place used to have a super advanced civilization. But about 150 years ago, they had a nuclear war. That's why it was all messed up. These alien creatures still living there were the survivors, but the nuclear radiation made them look sick. On top of that, Thao mentioned that the people here actually share a common ancestor with folks on Earth. Over time, people spread out on different planets, but because humans can't control their desires, war is pretty much inevitable. Thao said that as humans develop, they'll discover atoms and the massive power inside them. So Michel asked Thao, why not help these suffering people? Thao's answer? Cosmic laws, man. They're super strict and unforgiving, like planets orbiting stars. Can't break them. Then Michel was taken to Thao's home planet, Thiaouba. This is a super advanced level 9 planet, and Thao gave Michel a big task right then and there. Record everything he saw. When he got back to Earth, write it all down in a book. He could also ask any question, and Thao would give him the answer. So Michel started doing his thing, and he went straight for the big one. How did the universe even begin? Thao's reply? The original universe was empty, just the will of God. God's will can turn consciousness into matter. An atom can explode just by thinking about it, creating incredible energy. And everything in the universe is basically God's imagination. He thought about atoms, already knowing how they'd be made. When he thought about life, he already knew how life would work. You could say everything in the universe is in his mind. Then, using his psychic powers, God created the 4 fundamental forces of the universe all at once. First up, the atomic force. This can create galaxies full of galaxies, a universe packed with stars. From a certain point of view, the universe itself is a living thing. Second force, the supercosmic force. This force could create the most basic forms of life, like simple plants and animals, and then, using that as a starting point, create more complex stuff. Third force, supernatural strength, the human archetype. But Tao said humans weren't created instantly. They evolved over time, and the last force is pure psychic force. This force creates the spiritual form of all living things. It can put consciousness into a human body to experience emotions, but this power only makes up 1/9 of the second level self. The second self becomes the superego. The superego is the highest state a human can reach. If human desire is the id and reason is the ego, then the superego is like the director, keeping the id in check. Think of them like a pair of entangled quantum particles, working together faster than light. And get this, all human beings come from the center of the universe. It's like a conscious, luminous body, collectively called the Great Holy Spirit. When a person dies, all their memories and energy go back to the Great Holy Spirit. Then through spiritual growth, they can move up to higher dimensions. Eventually, they could even reach a level 9 planet like Thiaouba. And there are only 3 level 9 planets in the galaxy, Thiaouba being one of them. So Michel asked, since there are so many alien civilizations out there, will they invade Earth in the future? Thao's answer was that Earth is on the verge of a global catastrophe. It's coming soon. Because of that, no advanced civilization would bother invading. Then Michel asked Tao why he chose him. Tao replied that according to Thiaouba's records, Michel is one of the few people on Earth who has lived through 81 lifetimes. He'd even reached a level 7 planet, but got bumped back down to level 1 for some reason. So his spirituality was super high. Thao hoped Michel could learn from this experience and have a chance to rise back up. Michel then asked what the pyramids were all about. Thao said humans didn't build them. It was people, the common ancestors of Earth and Alum X3. On the planet Alum X3, there are also pyramids like that. Their main purpose is travel. Through the pyramids, you can also receive messages from other civilizations. On top of that, Tao told Michel that some religions on Earth were actually started by pioneers from Thiaouba. They intentionally set them up to help human development. They believed that through these religions, humans could better understand themselves and the universe. Regarding money, Tao said there's no such thing on Thiaouba. He called the monetary system the original sin of human society. Once money came along, most of humanity got totally sucked into it. They spend their whole lives paying off loans and interest. This is really bad for people's spiritual growth. And there's a whole lot more that was supposedly revealed in the Thiaoouba Prophecy. A lot of people didn't buy what Michel said after reading his book, but Michel claimed he was just passing on what he saw and heard. He wrote down answers to tons of questions he didn't even understand himself. Plus, Michel was just a regular gardener. A lot of what he wrote was way beyond what he should have known. And back then, the internet wasn't a thing like it is now, where you can just look stuff up. So some folks actually believe what he said is true. But here's the thing we gotta remember. The Thiaouba Prophecy isn't scientific fact. It's a hypothesis that's impossible to test. We need to use our brains and look at this stuff with a scientific eye. If what Michel said is true, then according to the Thiaouba info, we should really focus on growing our spiritual side to keep leveling up. It definitely throws a curveball at how we see the world. But then a new question pops up. What's the real meaning of life anyway?